playing cards for ambitious card is cool and all, but you don't actually know when it gets to the top of the deck. That's why I think it's better to tear a corner off. That way, whether it's face up or face down, you can tell where that card is. So how does that look, I hear you ask? Well, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to leave it out jogged about half its length in the center of the deck. Keep your eye on that jack, because without any moves, it melts all the way to the very top. So if you want to learn how to do this darn trick, then stick around for the rest of the video, because it's Tutorial Tuesday. Let me know if you liked that by hitting that like button. But guys, welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday, where you're going to learn this visual ambitious card that you just seen using a torn playing card. If you like that and you want to see way more magic and learn way more magic just like this, then all I'm asking you to do is hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling generous, ping the notification bell. But guys, welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday. I'm really excited to share this one with you. You just seen what it looks like. It looks crazy visual, and surprisingly, it's super easy to do. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to teach you how to build the gimmick, which most of you can probably do right now at home with things that you already have. Then I'm going to teach you the routine, how to handle it, how to perform it, and how to ring in and ring out your gimmick. So if that sounds good to you, I'm going to stop talking. Let's just dive straight in to learn. TNA stands for Torn and Ambitious.
So this is going to be one of the easiest builds that you ever make, because you only need a couple of things that most of you probably have at home already. So the first thing you're going to need, and this is probably the most difficult of all to find, is magic tape, which is different to sellotape. It's made by the Scotch brand, and it's tape that when you apply it, as you see here, it becomes clear or very close to clear with no shine to it. Unlike sellotape, as you can see, which is quite shiny and reflective, magic tape, when applied to playing cards, becomes essentially invisible. Next, you need a pair of scissors, and if you're under 18 years old, then please get a parent or guardian to help you with the cutting part of this build. Now, you're also going to need a pair of cards from a blue back deck, and make sure the borders aren't misprinted, so you want the borders to look pretty perfect. And then just grab yourself a pair of duplicate cards. So I used the Jack of Clubs, but you can use any playing cards that you want, as long as they're duplicates. And again, you want the borders to look as close to well printed and normal as the borders of the other playing cards. So what you're going to do now is you're going to tear through both playing cards at once. Now you're going to tear from this place where you can see the little flower with petals around it to the side of the center of the card. So you're going to tear down past just to the side of this like 9-petal flower with a dot in the center, and you're going to tear down and around to come in line with where the tail of the angel starts to straighten out. Okay, because in a moment you're going to create another part of the gimmick, which is going to cover this tear. So, taking the two cards together, making sure the borders are the correct orientation, square them at the corners, and you're going to be tearing upwards with your right hand, because you want to create that white edge on the tear, like this. See how this has a white visible edge? That's because you want that tear to be visible when the card is on top of the deck. If you tear downwards, let me show you, let me grab a different card. If I tear down, so if you'll see I'm going to be pushing down, then that tear won't have the white edge on the playing card, and it'll be harder to see and it won't stand out on top of the deck. So there's the white edge, you can see the middle layer, and there's it without a white edge. So remember that as you're tearing. So take the two duplicates, square them up. You can apply some magic tape to keep them square if you want, and then remove it after you've done the tear, but I can just do it freehand. You're gonna square the corners, just like this. Then pinching hard, pinch in the center using your left hand fingers, and you're gonna push the double cards in between the two knuckles on the inside, the knuckle of the index and the middle finger on the inside of your left hand. Push the edge of the card there and squeeze with the thumb and index finger of the left hand in the center, tight. And now use your right hand to tear upwards at that point through the little flower petal, or just to the side of it, as you can see. Keeping the card square all around as you reposition it. Continue that tear just so that it curves around to where the tail begins to straighten out. And you'll see it's got a nice white paper torn edge right there. You can place these two pieces off to the side. But now you have this identical perfect tear in this card, which we can now use later on to create the effect. The next piece of the gimmick, you're going to be cutting a square of card. Now also you can use double backer for this if you want to, but you don't need to. But you're going to be cutting out a square of card that's going to cover up that tear. And the square is going to be directly down the center of the card. So you'll see we're going to cut through this little like spade symbol. We're going to cut a line down to the center and across from beneath the base of where the tail ends. Okay, so that area then it's going to cover the entire tear. So where the tail ends, you're going to cut across to where the center of the angel bike is. Again, if you're under 18, please ask for help from a parent or guardian. So cut to where the bike is in the center. And again, cut through the center of that like sort of spade symbol down the middle of the angel. And just make sure that piece comes off all the way. And you can, it doesn't matter about the rest of the card, you just cut through. And now you have the little square piece of cover for the card. And what you're going to do now is using a piece of magic tape, you're going to make sure that it's the correct orientation on the card. So make sure that, because borders are not perfectly printed, you want to see that you're placing this piece on the right side of the card. So it looks kind of like this is the correct orientation. So look, maybe here, yeah, that looks a bit better. I think it lines up better. Now, let's double check. Let's see. And you want this to look as close to spot on as you can, because it's going to sell the illusion when done correctly. So first of all, get rid of the dirty end of the piece of tape. Now you're going to cut off a piece of tape that's just that long in length. So I think this should probably do. Oops, didn't do it very well. Let's try again. This much should probably be about perfect. I'm going to place it just on the white border, right to where the border ends, just where the white meets the blue. Place the tape there. And then fold it over onto the back of the card. So place the tape on, square it up perfectly on that card. So square it up here, just like that. Try your best to make it look perfect, and then fold that tape over onto the face of the other card. You have a sort of little impromptu flap gimmick here. Now you're going to get just a slightly bigger piece. That's going to go on the side border. So again, pick it up, fold it over, make sure it's aligned, and again place it just on the white part of the border. And then you're going to fold it around and attach it to the face of the other card. And that is it. You now have your gimmick made. So let's go ahead and learn how to perform TNA.
So to bring this gimmick into play, there's a couple of options. The most sort of risky one is to keep this gimmick in the deck as well as the two dupes and do the tear in live performance. Now, when you finish the tear, you'll have two torn corners, which will be like this. And all you need to do is, because they're identical, is that you say, I'm going to hand this corner to you to keep as a receipt to make sure it matches later. And as you place this into their hand, you're going to peel back one of the corners like this into finger palm, so you can see, and hand this to them, and you can just really easily come back and ditch this. So that move, after you've torn both the cards, will look just like this. So you tear and say this is like a receipt, you could actually hold on to it. And as you lean forward, that big action is going to cover the smaller action of sliding that card back, and you're going to get it into finger palm and hand them the single corner, and it doesn't matter which one they get, which is the nice thing. So they've got this as a receipt. I'm just going to place this out of the way for now. And what's cool here is this little setup is that you can kick the deck back to yourself and load the card into position. So let me show you this with a better focus. So I've got these two cards here, two cards held as one. Okay, I've just handed them the corner so they can keep it. I'm going to tilt the deck back so they can't see it, and super quickly I can just load one card in like that and pull the other out. So I'm going to load them both under like this and pull one out. But at speed and from this performance direction, I'm here, they've got one corner, I'm relaxing, so as they look at it, it's not a lot of pressure right now, nothing's happening yet. And then super quickly I can load that corner in and then hand them the card. And that happens really, really quickly. The other thing you can do is to keep both gimmicks loaded in and then keep this in your pocket for later. Perform the ambitious card with a different card, and then eventually whenever you want, palm that in or cop that in on top of the deck and say, do you know what, we did this with a signed card, but I want to do it with something more difficult. I'm going to do it with a card that's torn. That way you can tell the moment it arrives whether it's face up or face down. So let's use and you can do a false shuffle here, retaining the top stock. Let's use a random card, for example, the Jack of Clubs, and you can, at this point, even do a sort of angle Z fake tear, and just say, we don't need the corner because we're going to use this card differently. So you're literally not taking anything, so they're pre-torn, loaded in and placed into the pocket. Right, so this is in your pocket or your back pocket beforehand. I'll just run you through this one more time. So ambitious card is done with any card that's signed on the face. So let's say it goes in to the center, rises to the top. When you say, you know what though, that's a signed card. Let's use a card that looks a little bit different. I'm going to place the Sharpie away in my back pocket, and we'll use a completely different card. We're going to mark this card differently. So whatever, let's use this random top card. Let's go for this one. And I'm just going to tear the card. Like, oh, it's okay, Jack Clubs. We don't need the corner. What we need is this torn edge. And now you can explain why this is different. But that's a way of getting into it in a practical way in the real world. And that then leaves you set in that position. And what I'm doing, by the way, is as I'm palming this in from my back pocket, so this is in my back pocket, I'm literally just grabbing it, palming it in on top of the deck, doing a false shuffle, keeping the top stock here. Then I tilt back as I'm about to do the fake tear, and I'm gonna use my thumb to bring this card back, just the one of them, and on top like this. So from this angle, it looks like that. And your angle, it looks like this. Okay. I'm going to execute a false corner tear, and because the corner is unimportant, I can fake placing it into my pocket, but I have nothing there. Or I can do this. I can actually keep the corner in my pocket, right? So I'll keep the corner in my pocket, and I can do this. So I'll place these in my back pocket. I've performed ambitious card with a random card that's signed. Boom, goes in, comes to the top multiple times. I say, you know what though? I'll take the Sharpie back. I'm going to show you something which is more impressive than signing the card. I'm going to mark it in a way that's completely different, and it'll allow you to see the exact moment the magic happens. Let me show you what I mean. If I take the random card from top, tear the corner off just like this, I'll place it in my pocket. Oh, actually, you could actually hold on to the corner if you wish. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking that corner as an afterthought. I'm holding nothing, reaching into my pocket, and then grabbing hold of the corner and saying, oh, do you know what? Actually, you can hold on to the corner. So I'm not even tearing it. This just sits in my pocket. I've loaded the gimmick in. I come back. I take this, false tear the corner. I have nothing in my hand. False tear the corner and say, we don't need the corner. Oh, and I reach in, grab hold of the corner and say, oh, actually, you can hold on to it as a seat if you want. And I've just loaded that into my hand. Either way, whatever works. And now you're ready to rock. The main thing to note is this. This is the gimmick that has the square attached to it. And you'll see that depending on the direction I stand, there'll be a shadow. So if I stand here, it's pretty obvious. However, from this angle, it's not so obvious. So from here, you can see it, and from there you can't, or not as clearly. And that's because my lighting is to the left of me. And I'm using blue bicycle cards. Now, some people don't know this, but depending on, when you're making card gimmicks, you want to use blue backed cards because they hide shadows slightly better than red backed cards. Red backed cards, they say, for signing, so if you want your cards signed, then use reds, and if you want your cards gaffed, use blue. So what you need to do is just think about where you're performing and look for the light. So you can see the shadows are being cast this direction because my light's over here, so I stand facing this way, but you need to do the same thing wherever you are, just look for the light. And then place it to the opposite side of the card of where your gimmick is. Now take your two duplicates, load one under the square. So if I come in close, you can see how easy that is. You can just load that under the square gaff that you've got here. And that card is now camouflaged and hidden. Now, depending on which way you get into this, you're going to be left with a single card that has a duplicate tear in it. The way I like to handle this card is to display it front and back and have it examined because it's completely gimmickless. But I like to do it covering this corner. So I take this out of sight as much as I can. The other tip is to keep my index finger in front of the middle of the card here so it hides that little edge, right? These are all just small tips that help overall camouflage the method. So as I'm displaying it, you'll notice that I'm constantly keeping it on top of this card, like this, so boom, boom. What's really nice about this effect is that it's so easy to do the main piece of magic. So from here, once I've displayed the card, they understand what's going to happen. I do actually really like the presentational angle of saying that we're going to use a torn card because you can't see the moment the card rises to the top if it's signed on the face. But by tearing it, there's no hiding it because it doesn't matter if it's face up or face down, this card is unique and you'll see the moment it rises to the top. So now at this point, I'm going to place this card into the center of the deck, and that's so they can see the corner, but enough for my index finger to be able to reach it. And this is quite a clean display here, so I can show this card quite far around. What I like to do is to use my right hand at this point and place my middle finger on that edge. Again, this sort of just covers all this because it's here, and any chance of having this little edge exposed is covered by my middle finger. I don't want to do this because it feels like I'm covering something, but just my middle finger is enough because that's the exposed area there, that covers it, right? So from here, normally I would get a pinky break, but I actually don't mind getting a thumb, lifting with my thumb and lifting it onto my pinky because it all feels natural to be in this position. So I'm here, I can reach this card, but I don't want to do it until the last moment. And all I'm going to do, and I'll show you from the side view, as I square this card in, I'm going to bring my middle finger backwards to the back to meet my thumb, and I'm literally going to pull this card out of the gaff. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to tilt my hand, this hand, out of view just in case that gimmick's going to flash. Like that. Now when I come forward, I can lay this on top and display it all around, and again I'm hiding this corner as much as I can. We really don't want that to be in sight very much, so I can just display that all over. And it's really that simple. The mechanics of the actual visual move are just very, very easy. So from the front, we have this moment of placing the card in, displaying, and on 3, having it pop right through. And it looks like it melts all the way up through the deck. So one more time from the exposed view, I can display this card all over, hide in the gimmick, display, place into the center, display it in there, come over and hide this front edge of my middle finger, and on 3, I'm going to square in and pull this card into view. Super, super easy and very, very visual. I know you all want to see it one more time, so let's just show you. Here's that Jack of Clubs, torn, gets placed into the center. You can all see it, and it just comes all the way through every single card in the deck. Now, you need to clean the cards up, and here's what you need to do. You're going to immediately hand this card out, because it's going to need to be examined. Everyone thinks this is the special thing. So this card's going to be handed out, and this gives you all the time in the world to do a number of things. If this was a double backer, you can turn it over on top. So with a wrist kill, you can turn it to the side, right? Or you could use like a flippant move to flip it on top. Or you can keep it there for a moment, because this isn't the dirtiest part of the trick. The killer card is this torn card here. But what's nice is that you pick up and it'll naturally cut to it because you've got the torn corner missing. So if you just pick up on the corner, it'll come to the top. And now you can do a number of things, but mainly you can palm this out. Now I palm, gripping it using the heel of my thumb on my index finger. And because there's no corner, it's really, really natural. You can actually quite easily relax. So you can just go from here, palm it, and come away. And you can do this, if you left the pen, the Sharpie on the table, you can palm off the gimmick, pick up the Sharpie, and place them both in your pocket. Now all that's left is this card, which in reality can just stay in the deck, and especially if you're going to spread through and show that every single card is normal. And even if you fan the opposite direction, they can still see that every card is normal. You can go through and display everything, and eventually, if you know which card this is, for me, my gaff's my 10 of clubs, you can spread through, finding that 10, look, all this is hidden in the bottom corner, all the tape is hidden down here, so I can spread through, it looks like a normal card. I can cull it to the bottom of the deck, and eventually cop that card off, and then ditch it into my pocket. And that's it, that's the basic handling of this effect. Alright, that should be all you need to learn to go out there and make your gimmick and start performing TNA, whether it's in the real world or on social media. Feel free to upload it Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you want. You can tag me or not, I don't care. Guys, just have fun performing it. Make it look as good and as visual as possible. That is the main thing. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn how to do even more crazy visuals like that, then hit that subscribe button and ping the notification bell. It actually helps me out a lot if you subscribe, but it also means you get to learn more magic for free, which is pretty good. Which is a win-win for both of us. Guys, I'll be back on Thursday for the Theory Thursday video, where we cover theory on magic tricks and how we can make small tweaks and changes to our magic that makes the impact so much stronger. And I'll be back on Sunday, as always, with the Sunday session video, which is our worldwide magic jam, which happens on this channel every Sunday, because we can't go out and jam anymore because of this whole crazy coronavirus thing. So we do it together on the Sunday sessions. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if not, have an amazing holiday season. There's only one more video before Christmas Day. And as you all know, I'm counting down those days until I can just get a conveyor belt of roast potatoes and just plop, plop, plop them in my mouth one by one and just guzzle. So great. What am I on about? This is how excited I am. Deliriously so for Christmas Day. Oh my god, I need to stop talking about roast potatoes. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you all on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy TNA.